This is CBC Vancouver News.
Fire crews battling a blaze near Kelowna Airport.
So BCWS is supporting with 3 initial attack crews.
Triggering tactical evacuations of some homes in the area. And despite a rise in listings, BC's housing market remains sluggish.
Some listings I'm seeing them sitting on the market for like 3, 4, or 5 months or longer, and some of them are not getting any showing.
A look at why it's tough to find a buyer. Also, diving into the future of Kitsilano Pool.
The biggest challenges have been cracks in the pipes and underground, so it leaks water.
As the city gathers feedback on the aging facility. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Michelle Morton. We begin in Kelowna, where crews are battling a wildfire burning near the city's airport, prompting tactical evacuations in the area. The BC Wildfire Service says the blaze is about 2 hectares in size and is classified as out of control.
So BCWS is supporting with 3 initial attack crews, 2 response officers, 2 helicopters bucketing, as well as 4 air tankers and the bird dog.
The local fire departments and the BC Wildfire Service are all at the scene of the blaze, which started this afternoon in the Ellison area, about 9 kilometers northeast of central Kelowna. Kelowna RCMP are also asking residents to prepare for a possible evacuation.
We call it a little bit of a spicy fire. So it was touch and go when the first call came in, but Mother Nature was on our side, so the wind didn't do what it was expected, and we were able to get lots of resources on it and knock it down. We'll be here most of the night on the fire to make sure we've got forestry here and us to make sure that everything's good.
The Eisman Creek wildfire continues to burn north of Lytton. The blaze was accidentally sparked by an RCMP trailer on Canada Day. Crews say they made good progress over the weekend, but warm and dry conditions are forecast for the Fraser Canyon.
We are going to see our temperatures slowly start to creep up, as well as our relative humidity level slowly decrease as well. We are anticipating a cold front to come in on Tuesday, so that is bringing higher wind speeds, approximately 50 to 60 kilometer gusts.
Evacuation orders and alerts are in place for a few rural properties near Highway 12, which is only open to local traffic between Lytton and Lillooet. Hall is urging drivers in the area to be cautious and to watch for crews in the area. The size of the wildfire was reported at 245 hectares today. In some of Canada's biggest real estate markets, the number of listings is up, but those homes just aren't selling. CBC's Jessica Chung takes us through the numbers and shows us why many are having a hard time finding a buyer.
This open area kitchen has gas stove, and it's so perfect for entertaining.
Newly renovated homes like this used to sell fast, but this listing has been on the market for more than a month now.
It does surprise me. I thought we were, gonna have an offer by now, but it is just the way the market is.
This real estate agent says she's been seeing this trend since the beginning of the year.
Some listings are dropping 100,000. Some are like higher priced properties are dropping by 200,000. Some listings I'm seeing them sitting on the market for like 3, 4, or 5 months or longer, and some of them are not getting any showings.
In June, Metro Vancouver saw a 24% spike in the amount of listings on the market compared to the same month last year, but home sales dipped nearly 10%. And it's the same story in Toronto, with listings up 31%, but home sales down around 2.5%. Calgary saw an 83% increase in listings, but sales dropped 16.5%. Some experts say the drop in demand is partially due to the uncertainty brought on by the trade war with the U.S. and fears of a recession here in Canada.
People are worried about the economy. When they're worried about their job, they're not rushing out to buy a home.
Interest rates are another factor contributing to the slowdown.
I think we need to remember that we're looking at very high interest rates still. So sure, they've come down a little bit. And those are still twice as high as what we had a couple of years ago.
For buyers looking for the possibility of another interest rate hike, the central bank will make its next announcement at the end of the month. Jessica Chung, CBC News, Vancouver.
The City of Vancouver is asking for public feedback as it decides the future of Kitsilano Pool. CBC's Saurabh Sandhu spoke with some users of the aging pool about what changes they would like to see happen.
Dozens line up for a dip at Kitsilano Pool Sunday afternoon. The outdoor saltwater pool opened up on June 21st for the season, after the city staff completed repairs to the plumbing system and other maintenance. The facility has taken a beating in recent years from climate change effects, including a rising ocean, high tides, and storms.
I actually used to work at this pool about 20 years ago, and in those 20 years, the pool has been closed for different reasons. Multiple times we've been open late.
The city says there's no critical repair work scheduled for this season. The pool is over 50 years old and is in what the city calls its end-of-life phase.
The biggest challenges have been cracks in the pipes and underground, so it leaks water.
Last month, the city kick-started a public consultation process seeking input to help plan the pool's future.
It really is the community's opportunity to tell us about what they currently value with the pool and the surrounding area, i.e. the showboat, but also to tell us what their future needs might be so that we can be planning for a facility that services us for another 50 years.
In its first step of planning, the city is conducting a feasibility study to come up with options to replace Kit's Pool and address the current challenges.
It definitely could use a few more amenities, more seating area, more comfortable seating area, but the length is one of the things that attracts a lot of swimmers. A lot of people that live in the community come here or live here specifically for this pool in the summer, so I think that they should maintain the form and function.
There's many new developments coming, many new people coming into the neighborhood, so I think it needs to be a more modern facility for sure.
The city says the replacement of Kitsilano Pool will be considered as part of its 2027-2030 capital plan, and the online public survey will remain open until July 14th. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Vancouver.
Bosnian Canadians in Vancouver are marking a solemn anniversary this week. 30 years since the Srebrenica genocide, described as the deadliest atrocity on European soil since the Second World War. As Shoria Chatri reports, survivors say the trauma still runs deep.
Something that you never can forget.
Nisvet Nizic spent 6 months in a concentration camp in northern Bosnia during the war that tore through the Balkans in the early 1990s.
I was captured in my village and put in a camp, was tortured. I have broken bones. I've seen people killed in front of my eyes.
Nizic is one among dozens of Bosnian Canadians at Trout Lake Park on Sunday, marking the 30th anniversary of the Srebrenica massacre. In July 1995, Bosnian Serb forces captured the town of Srebrenica. In less than 2 weeks, they killed more than 8,000 Muslim men and boys. Many were buried in mass graves. Canada and international courts recognize the killings as genocide.
Up to this day, it still haunts me. Sometimes have a nightmare.
Nizic arrived in Canada in 1993. He says the Red Cross negotiated for months to release him and others in the camp under the condition they'd never return to Bosnia. Now living in Vancouver, he says remembrance is about more than looking back. It's about teaching future generations what happened.
But they have to know why are they here, why are they in this good country, and do their best to make sure that that doesn't happen either in Bosnia or here or anywhere else.
The community held a commemorative walk around Trout Lake, symbolizing the escape many made from the massacre by fleeing into the forest.
They ran into the woods, and they walked, I forget how long, they walked for days, just for their lives, without food, not knowing where they're going.
Organizers say nearly every Bosnian Canadian family has been impacted by the war.
Victims of trauma carry scars that are passed down to their next 7 generations.
Lamia Hodzik was 2 years old when the war broke out. Her father was taken to a camp. Her mother fled to Canada with her.
No matter what we face as a community and the challenges we've endured, I feel proud of my people today.
The BC government recognizes July 11th as Srebrenica Remembrance Day. For Nezic, remembrance also means a message for fellow Canadians.
Cherish what we have here. Don't take it for granted. Democracy we live in, it's a good thing, but it's fragile.
Shaurya Chetri, CBC News, Vancouver.
Vancouver City Councillors are considering a staff report this week that recommends lowering speed limits on many streets across the city. As CBC's Rafferty Baker reports, the goal is to reduce serious injuries and pedestrian fatalities.
The City of Vancouver staff report recommends lowering the speed limit to 30 kilometers per hour in 25 neighborhoods, 3 of which have already seen the change. It also calls for lowering the limit to 30 or 40 kilometers per hour on many corridors and main roads. It's an idea that has been building for several years, kicked off by one councillor who has been driven by personal experience.
I myself was hit by a drunk driver and didn't walk for close to a year after my leg was shattered below the kneecap. So there's ample evidence and science to suggest that reducing speed limits saves lives when it comes to hitting pedestrians or cyclists, and even an incremental reduction by 10, 20 kilometers an hour makes a huge difference.
The city's efforts to reduce limits across Vancouver hit a speed bump a few years ago when it looked like the costly step of adding new signs on every single street was the only way around default provincial limits. But Pete Fry now says it can be done by simply putting signs at neighborhood gateways. Still, city staff say it will cost about $350,000. The plan would be to phase in the 25 neighborhoods over 3 years.
I think it's a better and safer idea. There's a lot of kids, there's school, so yeah, I think it would be a good idea.
It'd probably be safer. I'm sure if people are like in a hurry, it won't be the best for them. But I mean, I don't drive, so I guess for me specifically, it's better. Less chance to get hit by a car.
For bikes, it's probably better. For noise, it's probably better. Just for overall kind of energy, it's probably a little bit better around here.
If the car is at a lower speed, it will be, I'll not say that it will be, you can just ignore all that accidents, but you can probably decrease them a little bit.
I think if somebody's driving 50K down a side street, it's a bit psycho. Honestly, it seems way out of scale and proportion for a residential side street. So you don't actually see a ton of people driving 50 down side streets. But when you do, it would be great to have the enforcement there.
The minor streets that staff recommend for 30 kilometer per hour limits are mostly the ones without yellow center lines. The plan would also leave a vast swath of the city unchanged. The most recent year for which the City of Vancouver has traffic fatality info online is 2021, when 18 people were killed and 270 were seriously injured. The city says about half of those collisions involved pedestrians and cyclists. City Council will consider the staff report on Wednesday. Rafferty Baker, CBC News, Vancouver.
Comox Valley RCMP say they're investigating the death of a 17-year-old boy at Comox Lake. Police say first responders were called to the area known as Devil's Ladder around 9:45 last night after receiving a report that a youth had jumped from a cliff into the water and did not resurface. Police say paddleboarders nearby found the teen and began CPR shortly before firefighters arrived and took over life-saving efforts. The teen was taken to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. No further details are being released at this time. Victoria's Pride Week comes to an end in dramatic fashion with the Pride Parade in the city's downtown.
To me, is just the freedom to be who you are and express yourself, and solidarity with all the people around the world that don't have that option.
We've been excited about this for weeks. It's something to look forward to every summer in Victoria. I have some friends traveling right now who are very sad they're missing it.
I love Pride season. I feel like it is such like a joyous occasion, but I also feel like a lot of happy tears a lot of the time.
Thousands of people dressed in all colors of the rainbow and lined the streets to support and cheer on more than 120 floats and entries in what is growing into the biggest parade on Vancouver Island. Pride organizers say the fight to maintain rights for people in the 2S LGBTQ+ community is more important than ever. Port Alberni may be a step closer to being a part of the FIFA Men's World Cup when it comes to Vancouver next summer. It's offering up training facilities and accommodations for an international team. And last week, FIFA Canada sent an official to check things out.
I get a sense that they're very interested, and that is really exciting for us. I think that we have advanced to another level. I think that they are really interested in us because we are so interested.
The FIFA official toured different soccer pitches, including what would be the main field at Bob Daly Stadium. Other supporting recreation facilities and possible accommodations were also toured. Deacon says FIFA is extremely specific about the grass used by the soccer players. So if Port Alberni is selected, the turf at Bob Daly Stadium might have to be replaced. A group in Langford is also hoping to land an international team for World Cup training that would use the Starlight Stadium. FIFA could start letting communities know as soon as September. Still ahead, the scale of the destruction and heartache in central Texas is becoming clearer as more victims of Friday's devastating flash floods are recovered, and the search for those still missing stretches on. That's next. Stay with us. South of the border, 78 people are now confirmed dead after Friday's flood disaster in Texas. And for a third day, the hilly Texas countryside was being combed for more survivors and more victims. The CBC's Sam Sampson reports.
As search and rescue crews work from the air and the ground to find the missing, families do their own digging at Camp Mystic. This father sorts through every piece of debris for signs of his missing 8-year-old daughter.
We're looking for places that they're gonna potentially be alive.
The summer camp is in ruins after flash flooding early Friday morning. Some campers are still missing, while others are confirmed casualties. They are among more than 24 children who have died, including these girls, all under 14, whose families reportedly confirmed their deaths to American news networks.
It was nothing short of horrific to see what those young children went through, and we will remain 100% dedicated, searching for every single one of the children who were at Camp Mystic, as well as anybody else in the entire riverbed.
Torrential rain caused the Guadalupe River to rise fast, in some places by nearly 8 meters in under an hour. Officials say more than 850 people were rescued, but dozens are still missing. Over the weekend, this man searched for his daughter and her friends, not heard from since Friday.
The place where all the survivors are brought, and we were hoping that we would hear our daughter and friends' names called, but they never did call. So we said, this morning we're going to come out and try to find them ourselves.
They're getting help from others, moved by the horror of it all.
Those babies. If it was my babies, I'd want somebody looking, so that's why I'm here.
Was any emergency alert given out on the 4th?
Reporters now work to get answers on how this storm became so deadly. Locals say there wasn't enough of an urgent heads up on the extreme flooding and wonder if the death toll could have been lower. This tragedy comes months after U.S. President Donald Trump severely cut national agencies that monitor and warn of dangerous weather. But on Sunday, Trump confirmed he would send help to Texas, help that is needed since there are potentially more damaging storms on their way in the next 48 hours. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Washington.
A number of factors contributed to making the flooding so severe. The CBC's Alexander Silberman looks at what they were and what might have prevented so many deaths.
An intense torrential downpour in Texas Hill Country dumped 4 months worth of rain in hours. This video shows the surging wave of water that rushed down the Guadalupe River.
When we have a severe event of this nature, it is never just one factor.
Scientists say a cluster of thunderstorms lingered in the region. Drought made hard soils less able to absorb water and also created heat, fuel for the storms.
This is like a 1-2 punch that any large system looks for in terms of high moisture and high temperature.
The National Weather Service issued a series of flash flood warnings and emergencies in the early hours of Friday. But officials are facing tough questions about why people near the river weren't evacuated.
There was an inability to know precisely where that wet rain was going to fall and how much was going to fall.
This part of the state is known as Flash Flood Alley, and some officials are questioning if so-called warning fatigue kept people from leaving home. There are also concerns the National Weather Service was understaffed after cuts by the Trump administration.
If you don't have the people and the observational capabilities and you can't fly the planes or the satellites are not giving you the data, you're going to suffer.
In the aftermath, there are lessons for other flood risk areas, including in Canada, according to this expert.
Right now, on average, for major urban centers across the country, flood risk maps tend to be about 20 to 25 years out of date. We've got to bring them up to date so we know where water is going to go when the big storms hit.
Experts say AI models of flood zones could also help plan evacuations and save lives. Alexander Silberman, CBC News, Regina.
The push for a Gaza ceasefire continues. Mediators in Qatar are conferring with Israeli delegation, and Benjamin Netanyahu says his meeting tomorrow with Donald Trump should move negotiations forward. But in Gaza, Israel conducted new strikes. Several people died in a residential building in Gaza City's north. Across the enclave, officials reported 80 killed. Ceasefire hopes accelerated Friday when Hamas signaled a positive response to the latest proposal. But Israel says Hamas is also demanding changes that it deems unacceptable. Here is a live shot of Cambie Street and BC Place in downtown Vancouver. I'll have your full forecast next. It's time now for your BC-wide weather forecast. For this evening, temperatures are expected to cool down to around 11 degrees in Campbell River, 12 in Fort St. John, 14 in Kelowna, and 13 degrees in Terrace. Tomorrow's highs are expected to reach 32 in Kamloops, 19 degrees in Tofino, 19 in Bella Coola, and 24 degrees in Victoria. And now looking at your 5-day forecast for Metro Vancouver, plenty of sunshine and warm temperatures ahead. On Monday, sunny with a high of 24 degrees. On Tuesday, similar conditions with some cloud cover. On Wednesday, a break from the sun, some rain with a high of 21. That sunshine returns on Thursday, though, with a high of 22 degrees. And sun and clouds for Friday with a high of 23 degrees. That is your late news for Sunday. Thank you for joining us. For news, visit our website, cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. That starts tomorrow morning at 5:30. Good night.